get this. Okay, look, so here's a bunch of the tools that I use. This is what I'm about to use right now. This is a very important tool. And then I'll use these two tools. And then now look, so here's these chalks I was talking about. The only problem with these chalks is that they break, but the thing is that they mark the best in the world for it. Okay, so what you do here is that you use this. This is I forget what they call it, but something like a pattern marker, but they got different kinds. And one other thing I want to do, and then plus I'll be blowing up my little broken heart. And let me grab a couple of these. Okay, so I'll use this one as a fabric weight, because you got to weight your, okay, so that way it won't be moving. So then I'm going to take this, and then what it does is it makes and I need to make sure that I'm going to have a 1/2 inch for the seam allowance. Okay, and so basically this is just going around like this, and then this is going like this, and like this, and like this, and then like this. I lost it a little bit, but it'll be alright. Okay, so that went like that and that. So now, as you can see, we got the pattern drawn on. Okay, now that's just a quick copy. So from there, what you do is then you're gonna, now when I was in school, because I went to pattern school, sometimes this would be kind of like called truing it, because really it could have that, and maybe I'll put that, I'll keep that in mind. And the one thing what I didn't mark that I should have marked was I didn't mark where the fold was. And now look, one thing when you're making a pattern, wherever you have consecutive lines, you always want to try to square those up. Like you see, and when I say square, like that, okay, where this line is going exactly on that line, so this is perpendicular. I mean exactly, you need it like that. And then from there, you're gonna add a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, but you need to, like for that part, since I'm there, you know, then I would correct it. Now you can't necessarily always do that, but whenever you can, like this one doesn't have it. Okay, but to be honest, maybe by the time I get through with this pattern, okay, it's gonna have it, because from here, I'm gonna take it like that, and then, so this is going up just exactly, but even here, when I make the cut, I gotta keep it 45. When you have it exactly perpendicular, then when you go to sew the pieces together, they fit perfect. Okay, and that's really important. Okay, so from here I'm doing rough lines, right? Normally, you're gonna use, I'm gonna use one of these curves, okay? But I'm just kind of roughing it in, and then once I have the rough, now see, like here, like, okay, maybe these lines are a little bit off. Later I'll have to trim them up, but I'll say it to you like this. Where this one intersects right here, you see how I got it exactly, okay? Well, it's a little bit off, so I need to do like that. But that's very important, and then the seam allowance is coming right there. Okay, and it's also coming right here. Because when you're coming through the seam allowance, you need to have that square. If you don't have that square, it's gonna mess up all your sewing, and you can sew it if it's not that way, but it just makes it more of a hassle. And again, I'm just kind of, because what I'm gonna do now that I got it kind of roughed in, now I'll take one of these curves, and then I'll go more for the curve. Okay, see, now I was saying about bringing this in, but if I bring this in right here, and that's not really the right line, but if I bring this in, then what that's telling me is that see, like right here. So this would be Now this is gonna be for a cloth holster, okay, or leather. Okay, like if I was gonna do that other kind with that, you know, the hard plastic, then you don't need to do this. You're gonna just have a big piece of, and then you're gonna heat it up and mold it over your gun. So this is almost finished, but I'm gonna put the seam along. Okay, now look. So like here, I have to turn this until I can make it fit. Okay, like if I try to do like that, it ain't gonna fit that good. So I need to, and then sometimes you have to do two. Like you're gonna do it this way, and then from here, then you're gonna, as example, go like that. Even though that's a terrible line. But once I have that line, then that can help me. Okay, so now I'm gonna add the seam allowance on this part. Look, I'll be finishing in I'll make it in about 5 minutes, so we'll be quick. But this would be a valuable lesson because look, what I'm doing for this is true for any pattern that you're making. Okay, anyway, so I got this. So look, I'm just gonna cut this out in the rough, and then we could call it, so that way you get an idea. Let me get this seam allowance right here. Okay, so the way you get the seam allowance is you take the seam where you're working. Okay, and then I'm just following the seam with a 1/2 inch. Okay, just a 1/2 inch, and then I'm just putting a little mark like that. And even though it's more work to make technically I could use the leather, but I don't want to use the leather because to make the pattern is because I want to and then what I do, you're gonna see when I'm cutting it out, because that's where I get the final line. Once I have these lines pretty close, and for some reason it's looking a little off, but I'm just going to take a chance because it don't have to be perfect. The main thing is that I got the seam allowance because I already know the piece can come out. Okay, the only last thing I need, and I went up to it. Okay, bam. Okay, so here we go. And see, like I kind of just follow those dotted lines that I made. Okay. And I try to kind of just barely stay out of the line. Like, in other words, I leave the line so I can see where I cut. Because once the line is gone, then you don't know where you cut. And if it's a little bit, like a hair too big, then that's probably it. And see, I didn't get the last little seam allowance right here. Technically, I could just eyeball it, but it's better to have the exact line. I know this is a kind of long video, but damn, I messed up right here. Okay, look, so I messed up right there. Like I cut it and I didn't straighten it out. So the way you fix that, okay, is you gotta get a piece of tape. And I'm not seeing my tape. This is not the tape. Oh, no, I don't know where it is. Damn. That's one thing. Like sometimes you have too much stuff. Okay, I'm gonna I don't want to use this tape, but damn. Let me